Darren, in all his creepy, gory glory, pretty much speaks for himself. But I will say this. After today, I will never, ever look at babies the same way again. Ugh, zombie babies. And if you want to know why, you're going to have to buy the Zom-B books, because we can't show you that bit. Sorry.
It was the darkest, most wretched hour of the night. The dead came back to life and spread like monstrous locusts through the village of Palace Kenry. The lucky victims were slaughtered in their sleep, their skulls ripped open, their brains devoured. But others suffered a far more terrible fate. One of those, a boy called Brian Barry, had enjoyed an ordinary Sunday night. He'd watched TV, finished his homework before going to bed, and settled down for a night of sweet dreams. Screams disturbed his slumber. At first he thought somebody was throwing a party, but as his head cleared, he turned on the light in his bedroom. He quickly realised this was no party. The screams were roars of genuine terror. Looking out his window, he spotted some of his neighbours fighting. He watched, awestruck and horrified, as lovely Mrs. Shannon from across the road stabbed her son in the chest with a long, sharp butcher's knife. The son should have died instantly, as the knife pierced his heart. But to Brian's astonishment, he yanked out the knife, then fell on his mother with a bloodthirsty howl. Brian turned away and rushed to his mum-dad's room to seek protection. But they weren't there. As if in a nightmare, Brian shuffled to the kitchen where he'd seen the light. Pushing open the door, he spotted his parents, but he didn't call to them. There was no point. His father would never hear anything again. His face had been ripped apart, and his body was deathly still. As for Brian's mother, she was busy eating Dad's brain. Brian watched sickly as she dug through the shredded remains of his face to scoop out the brains behind. Mum had often joked about killing her husband. Brian and his dad had always laughed at her outlandish threats, but neither was laughing now. Weeping softly, Brian backed away and fled into the night of blood and screams. He headed for the main street, crying, moaning, shivering. He could see atrocities wherever he looked, corpses littering the road, neighbours, family members and friends feasting on the dead and tucking into their brains. It was as if a great madness had swept through the village. Anyone who tried to reason with the cannibalistic crazies was knocked down and torn apart. The only ones who stood any chance of survival were those who didn't stop to ask questions, who didn't try to help, who simply turned tail and ran. Brian somehow made it up the main street, ducking challenges, skipping past the lunges of bloodthirsty abominations. At the top, where the road branched, a man was standing, feet spread wide, hands on hips, calmly studying the violence. Lots of undead creatures were gathered at this point, scrapping with the living, or feeding on the brains of the freshly killed. But none attacked the man in the middle of the road. Brian saw his best chance of survival and launched himself at it. Slipping past the frenzied shark-like killers, he threw himself at the feet of the man who was immune to the attacks. He looked up and got ready to beg for his life, but when he saw the man's face, he paused. The tall man had enormous, unsettling eyes. They were at least double the size of Brian's, the largest eyes the boy had ever seen. Unnaturally white, with a tiny dark pupil set in the centre of each. My dad's dead. Mum killed him. The man tutted. Oh, how sad. You have my sincere condolences. One of the undead creatures darted at them, reaching for Brian, drew him as it moved in for the kill. Hi! The man with the large eyes barked. The monster snarled at him, but retreated as ordered. Can you help me? Brian wheezed. The man frowned. I could, but with so many in your perilous position, it hardly seems fair that I should single you out for special treatment. Please, Brian wailed. I haven't done anything wrong. I don't want to be eaten alive by zombies. Please help me, please. The man sighed and he looked around. He hesitated, then decided to be merciful. Oh, very well, he muttered. But I'll only do it for you. The others will have to fend for themselves. Now, move back a bit. Kneel, close your eyes, and pray. You'll help me if I kneel and pray? Oh, yes. The man smiled. It was a cold, strange smile, but it filled the boy with hope. Okay, Brian said, and shuffled backwards. The undead noticed this and started to move in for the kill. Brian gulped and closed his eyes and started to pray manically. The tall man looked down intently at the boy. Then he spotted the monsters closing in and wiped the smile away. He would have to act swiftly if he was to honour his promise and spare the boy the agonies of death at the hands of the foul creatures. As Brian prayed, the tall man's hands snaked out. Brian didn't see the long bony fingers, and only barely felt them as they gripped his head and twisted sharply left, then right. He heard a sharp cracking noise, but felt no pain, and was dead before he knew it. The man let the corpse drop and bid Brian a sign of farewell as the living dead moved in. He checked his watch, grunted, adjusted the ends of his sleeves, then started down the road into the village, leaving the undead leeches behind to carve up Brian Barry's skull and feast upon the hot, sweet brain within. That was the prologue of my new book, Zom-B. As you can tell, a lovely, warm, funny, uplifting series. Zom-B is the first of 12 books. The series is called Zom-B as well. And after the first one, every book has will probably have a two-name title. So for instance, book 2 is called Zom-B Underground, and so on. Zom-B is obviously about zombies. It's a very different sort of zombie series. I'm not a huge zombie fan. There's a few zombie films I love, and I've watched quite a lot over the years, but they don't really excite me the way vampires do, or demons. So I needed a really, really strong story to draw me into this zombie world. I think if it was just scene after scene of humans fighting zombies, running from zombies, and hiding from zombies, and then fighting zombies again, it would get boring very, very quickly. At least it does for me. I know rather people out there who can't get enough of them. So I wanted to do something very, very different. Something where the zombies were an element of the story, but by no means the main course. The books, on the one hand, are very fast-paced, action-packed, horrific stories. But on the other, they're also trying to deal with examining some of the pressing social issues of the times in which we live. So, for instance, book 1, Zom-B, looks head-on at racism. The main character, Big Smith's dad, is an out-and-out racist, and the question posed by the first book is how would it affect you growing up if your parent was a racist who was feeding you a diet of racist diatribe? And the series goes on to look at the abuse of power, the need to question authority, the need to always think, and I know it sounds corny, but listen to your heart, and don't just make assumptions, but to carefully weave your way through the world, making decisions based on what you experience and come to know and believe to be true, as opposed to just believing everything that's been told you by people that you trust. It's a very dark, troubling series, but also very exciting and action-packed, with loads of plot twists, loads of big seismic shifts, and lots of death, blood and gore as well, for those who like those sorts of things, like me.
Zombie babies.